Hey everybody, it's Sunday, so that means it's time for story time. My special guest is already patiently waiting atop of my head. I have with me a leachianus gecko. Leachianus geckos are the largest species of gecko on the planet. And this one, which seems to be really stuck up here, is displaying some great methods of what makes these geckos so great. One is, you can see he has absolutely amazing colors that provide him excellent camouflage. So where they come from in New Caledonia, which is an island chain in Indonesia, so like between Asia and Australia, there's some very old jungles there. And those jungles are just covered in lichens and mosses and dead trees. And so for a gecko like the lychee, he literally blends in by being the same color, those lichens and mosses, and even having some of the same patterns. In fact, when we look at his eyeball, you'll see that his eye also blends in. Now, being that he's going to spend almost the majority of his life up in the air, he likes climbing up high, which is why he keeps going. So I'm just going to put him back up here for a second and just kind of let him chill out. Now, lychee geckos have a lot of really cool things about them. For one, some of the native people are actually afraid of them because they think that because of their ability to hang on means that they can actually suck your soul out. I love learning about folklore about animals because there's a lot of really cool things out there, some of them true, some of them not. A gecko cannot suck out your soul, okay? But what he will do is use these pads on his feet called lamellae, which are tiny like little thread-like things that find the imperfections in a surface and they allow them to grasp onto it. Now, given his size, he also has claws that help him hold on as well. So, if you take a good look at his feet, you can actually see the claws sticking off the end there. And then because of his lamellae, he can hang on with absolutely no problem at all until he decides to let go. Now, another kind of cool thing about these is they vocalize more than any other gecko. They have a lot of chirps like many other geckos do, especially the New Caledonian ones, but they also have a growl that they can do. This is another thing that in folklore scares a lot of people in their native range because they think that the geckos could be evil, that they're barking and chirping and growling and then also stick on you and possibly suck out your soul. Really what these guys are doing is they're laying claim to some territory because they can be defensive. And also, they're just out and about looking for food. Now, there are no known subspecies of it. A lot of people will divide different types of leachianus geckos into subspecies, but technically there aren't. There are locales. In fact, there's something like close to 10 or a dozen different type of locales that have slightly different colorization and pattern on them, but they all fall under the whole R. leachianus guild. So, another cool thing to notice about him is he has a slightly prehensile tail. So prehensile means that they can use their tail as essentially like an extra limb. So when he's hanging on, he can curl his tail over and actually has some lamellae on there as well that help him hang on. Now the tail can fall off. You can see there's actually a line right there where the tail has broken off from. That's called autotomy, which is the ability to drop a limb and then regrow it. Most of the time, they're going to use this as a defense mechanism more than anything else. But hopefully, he never has to, because between blending in and living in hollowed out and rotted trees during the day, a predator will never see him. Now, he will come down at nighttime to eat. They like different types of fruit. There's one particular kind that they like that's in their native range. They'll eat them right off of the tree and even go down to the ground and eat ones that have fallen off during the nighttime. Now, also, when we've done studies on these, we found that there are insects in their diet. They are opportunistic. They'll hunt insects when they see them, but rotting fruit also attracts insects. So I think it was like sprinkles on a cupcake, you know, like you don't go out to eat the sprinkles, but they're there, so you're going to take them in. So for a gecko like this that's eating a bunch of fruit that's rotting, it's obviously going to attract things like fruit flies, regular flies, beetles, pretty much like any insect, cockroaches, crickets, things like that. They're just going to go ahead and eat those as they're eating the fruit. Now, I think they have a very distinct look. I love how they have kind of what we would call an old dinosaur kind of look to their face with these like little ridges running along the lips. Some people say that they kind of look like an alligator or a crocodile because of the way that their eyes are and then also the ridge that's running along their face. So they have very, very distinct looks about them. And again, also the largest species. Some of them can reach up to 17 inches long, which is gigantic for a gecko. In fact, this is what we'd call an example of island gigantism. So typically on islands, animals are going to evolve in different ways, evolve different types of unique features. And specifically, you can have island gigantism or island dwarfism, which being that you're in a confined environment, you have to adapt for the best abilities to survive. So growing to an abnormally large size in an area where most of the other animals within your genus are tiny is an evolutionary advantage. And that's exactly what these guys do. So I'm going to turn him back around here so everybody can get a good look at him. Maybe he'll just stay in spot there so I can read our book. This week, we are going to read Dangerous by Tim Warnes. I always try to relate the book to the animal somehow. The reason I did that is I think these two kind of look alike, even though they're not really like closely related at all. But we don't carry alligators or crocodiles, nor should we, nor should anybody. So I picked the next closest thing I have that looks to them, aside from the Savannah monitors, which I did for the Christmas video. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get reading Dangerous by Tim Warnes. All right, here we go. I'm going to turn this just a little bit so you can see everything. Mole loved labeling things, all sorts of things, anything really. Naming things was what Mole liked best. One day, Mole found something unusual on the path. What is this strange thing, he wondered. He poked it gently, then he stuck a label on it. And another. And then a few more. But he still didn't know what it was. Suddenly, the enormous, lumpy bumpy thing gave a big stretch and yawned a terrifying yawn. Don't eat me, squealed Mole as he dived for cover. But the lumpy bumpy thing just rolled over and went back to sleep. Mole peered out of the bushes. "That thing looks dangerous," he whispered. "Something might get hurt." He scribbled out another label. Then he crept oh so carefully over to the sleeping beast. But Mole wasn't quiet enough. Mole wasn't quick enough. The lumpy bumpy thing licked its long, scaly lips, flashed its snippy, snappy teeth, and slurp chomp gobbled up all the labels. "Stop that!" cried Mole. "You can't eat them." And he stomped off in a huff. But wherever Mole went, the lumpy bumpy thing went too. It wanted to play. "No, thank you." "Boo. It thought Mole was wonderful. Go away." Mole did not feel the same way at all, and the lumpy bumpy thing was still gobbling labels. "Brrr. That does it," yelled Mole. "You're a slurpy, burpy, lumpy, bumpy, greedy, naughty thing." The lumpy bumpy thing sniffled quietly. A great big tear rolled down its cheek, and another, and then a few more. Mole squirmed and looked at the ground. The lumpy bumpy thing stuck a label to its tummy. And it says sorry. "I'm sorry too," said Mole. Then he scribbled down a brand new word on his label. Friend. The end. This is a great, great book that has a lot of messages. And the main one, and slightly underlying, is it is dangerous to label things. It is dangerous to label things you don't know or don't understand. And Mole obviously didn't understand that the big old gator here just wanted to be his friend. He labeled him as dangerous and slurpy and burpy and all these other things without getting to know him. So this is a great life lesson that the best thing you can do is learn about things you don't know or things you don't understand. You'll learn that the things you thought might be mean or weird or strange or dangerous actually aren't at all. They can turn out to be your friend. So I hope you guys really enjoyed Dangerous by Tim Warnes, which I picked up at the Capital Area District Library if you're interested. And I hope you enjoyed learning about the leachianus gecko. We'll see you next week.